Off top, never forget that 2022 Jordan Davis at 341 pounds ran a 4.7 at the combine.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. I'm excited because not only am I here, but the great Charlie Kravitz returns. The vanilla snack is back from some island time with a cute sweater on. What up, Charlie? We missed you.
It's a tough day for my haters.
You don't have any haters. There are no haters.
No, I missed you a lot. We were texting and I was like, I have pod FOMO. I more than podcast FOMO. I just miss talking, hanging out, talking, spending my days with my buddy.
I considered doing a combine episode without you, or just a pre-draft episode without you, just to troll you, because I know nothing gets you more excited than NFL.
I'm a Commanders fan. I live for the offseason.
When's the last time you guys won the offseason?
Oh, nothing was like the years of Deion Sanders and Albert Hainsworth and Bruce Smith, those were the best.
Did you get a tingly feeling when you signed Von Miller last year? Like, this is the good stuff. This is us getting superstar Hall of Famers past their prime.
Honestly, last year I was tingling from like February till like the Bears game.
Now the tingle's over. I'm sorry, buddy.
Now the tingle's just a fond memory.
All right. Well, I mean, at least you don't have questions at the quarterback spot, which lots of teams do, which leads us to...
Dude, this is like awesome. Like, it's not awesome. This is an awesome news day from the amount of stuff that's happening. We can get to some of the combine stuff, but about an hour before we're taping, it's been reported that unless there's like a Hail Mary trade, Kyler Murray's most likely going to be released from Arizona. That doesn't come as like a huge shock that he's not going to be the Arizona quarterback next year after he was shadow benched for Jacoby Brissett. Maybe the most under talked about story from a former franchise #1 pick type of guy. But I think this is fascinating because of who did we just see win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold just won the Super Bowl. Yeah. And I don't know. I'm sorry that my reaction felt like it was exasperation, but I do think that we are making something of this second-run quarterback thing.
Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith.
I get it. So I think the story, and we've talked about this before, the story is not that, to me, about the second-run quarterbacks, it's not that people have gotten it wrong or quarterbacks can get better later in their careers. Like, I think that's always been true, or you got to find the right spot, and sometimes whatever the maturation that happened. That to me doesn't feel like the story nearly as much as it's like there are different ways to win the Super Bowl. There always have been, but now this is a new way where quarterbacks are willing to accept a lower fee, which is not necessarily the same as, that's more of a Malik Willis conversation than it is a Kyler Murray conversation.
And which is the Malik Willis conversation is part of this because, he was seen to be the top free agent quarterback in the market. That was reported by Rappaport today that he was, likely to get more than $30 million annually, which my reaction to that was like, that makes sense. Yeah. Like, we haven't seen that much of it. What we saw over the last 2 years was pretty excellent. But now Kyler, would you say Kyler's clearly the top quarterback on the free agent market right now, or the one you'd feel most comfortable investing in?
Comfortable is different. I think he's probably the highest ceiling of the quarterbacks out there in the free agent market. I think the question is, and this goes back to why I think Kyler is relevant in the resurrection quarterback conversation, is what you would have to convince yourself of is that the knee injury and the foot injury are not enough to take away his athleticism, because
he looked athletic.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. I'm saying, and at 28, I guess he's still very young. Like, I'm just starting with the easy stuff. Like, that's an assumption that you have to check that box. You feel comfortable about that. And I think that's fine. You feel good about it. I don't think he can mature into, I think it's less likely that he'll mature into a full pocket passer. I think when his athleticism is gone, I think it's going to be much more difficult to be a productive quarterback at his size and given the way he's had success. I think that matters because it's not true for most other quarterbacks. I think even the most athletic quarterbacks, because they're normally 6'2", 6'3", you see something, you can see them develop into more of a pocket passer. Put that aside because I think that's a long-term picture. The other thing that you have to assume is that he has matured in a way as a football player in the areas where he's been criticized. I think the biggest one is about preparation. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things about this second run quarterback thing that I always push back on when people suggest that this is proof that the first spot messed it up. it might be true that the first spot messed it up for some of these quarterbacks, but also I think some of these quarterbacks needed to go through some of these experiences to refocus or to learn something about themselves. Like development, I know it's a little bit of a cliche, but the progress isn't always linear. You go up and down, you go different places, you find a spot. But that's something I think is huge for Kyler Murray, that you'd have to be able to convince yourself that he's going to approach this thing differently.
And this one's kind of unique even compared to, Baker might have been a more heralded college quarterback, and Darnold might have been more like theoretically what we're used to in the NFL with size and arm talent. Obviously, Kyler's a better athlete than all of them, and he's played better football at his first stop than any of them, even if it was for a short span. He was, his baseball roots, he kind of was Mr. October a couple years where you'd see him and be like, oh, he could win the MVP this year. But what's interesting is this the type of thing where we look up and he's able to string together 1 or 2 years where it's like, whoa, this guy is playing close to a top 10 level because the talent is there. Like he is as twitched up of an athlete who can throw from all these different angles, can feather the ball, has a really good arm as pretty much anyone. Obviously you could say like Lamar and Anthony Richardson are better athletes than him currently, but he's still in that top 5 percentile of athletes for quarterbacks in the NFL. And, he's got a unique skill set. And what's interesting is the Cardinals have not been the most stable organization, but they have some pieces around him that have been interesting, whether it's what we thought Marvin Harrison Jr. was going to be, or Traquan McBride, or
Traquan McBride. I like that.
Or guys like that who were like, theoretical top of the league talents, and not McBride's case. It is.
Yeah. But I also think that despite the fact that the Cardinals have been is one of the oldest organizations in the league, they've never quite really figured it out consistently how to run that place. And I think of the teams that have had failed number 1 overall quarterbacks or even first round quarterbacks, I think it's easier to make an argument that the Cardinals is a tough place to have success. And I think it's also, this is a tough thing about
why do you think that?
Because you look at their track record and the decisions that they've made. I think generally they've spent more time committed to leadership that has not proven itself to be successful. And you don't always see a consistent approach to their decision making and building up particular parts of an organization in order to make it have success. And I think also it's reputational. Like there are teams around the league where, despite the fact that they haven't had, like the Steelers, haven't had top tier success in a while, but we all think of them and understand that they are a kind of well-run organization.
I don't know. Not after the most recent player NFLPA survey.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about that really quick?
Oh, sure. Let's go. Sidebar. NFLPA survey.
The NFLPA survey, which had been released yearly, and the owners were pissy about it and was not supposed to get released this year and got released anyway. And the Steelers, which were looked at as a prestige organization, finished last in like a million things, which kind of makes sense when you think about how the organization's actually been for the last few years, like in purgatory. One of which was that there is only 5 stalls in the locker room.
That was crazy.
Which I didn't know if that was like, if there were other bathrooms or like what the deal was, like X, Y, and Z. Is that really a big deal, the amount of toilets? How many I'm imagining this is particularly like if you're a civilized person, they're just linemen annihilating the toilets, having 5 for 53 guys isn't enough of stalls.
I've never been on a team where that was an issue. So like, it's hard for you to imagine.
What's the normal amount of stalls?
When I heard that story, I was starting to like try to count them up in my head. And there was more at the 3 places I've been. There were more toilets than I could like count up in my head. Like I just didn't know. Like, I don't know. I assumed it was probably like, I don't know, like 12, 15, something like that.
Did you have a secret? Does everyone have like a secret?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a couple. So what you would do with the Ravens was they have one side of the building. So the top floor was like front office guys. And one side of the building was for the players. Then the other side of the building was for a lot of the other support staff. So like media relations, community relations, marketing, like those people were on the other side of the building.
Yeah.
And so we would never really have reason to go over that side of the building, except sometimes you have to like meet with like the community service person or something like that. But yeah, if you knew, you go over there. Those bathrooms were a little bit more private. You could go upstairs if you really had the heart and drop one in the coaches' facilities. If you really had the heart to go, if you were more established, I imagine you go up there and take care of business. But yeah, there were a couple bathrooms,
I think every single workplace, people, have their own private spot to take care of business before they have to perform.
There was one in the training facility where like the training room, like you go in there. There was one in there, but that was normally like reserved for the test man because you have to go in there with the test man and just have a community peeing experience.
Do they hold the cup or do you?
You have to hold your own cup. They just watch.
I didn't know if there was like, they were like, all right.
Like the rule was you had to be exposed nipples to knees.
Okay.
You hold your own cup and they watch. Thanks to, who was it? Who's the Wizinator?
Oh, Ontario Smith.
Ontario Smith. Yeah, because he had the fake Wizinator. They then changed the rule that you had to be exposed nipples to knees was the rule, and somebody watch you pee. It was. Speaking of dehumanizing, we got the combine. Anyway, before we get to the combine, I feel like
we didn't finish the Kyler thing.
Yeah, before we get to the combine, let's get back to the quarterback Kyler conversation.
Last thing, would you have gone to it? Like, do you think anyone would go to ownership? Be like, guys, we need like a bathroom reno.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like Aaron Rodgers last year when he was like DK, don't flush the toilet at night. Like, you don't think he walked in and was like, this is ridiculous.
So their facility is the only that I know of that's a split facility
with Pitt, right?
Yeah, with a university. So I imagine that's part of the reason is like they needed to have enough facilities or plumbing or something to support, because college teams are even bigger than NFL teams.
Yeah, you got like 150 guys if you include the NFL guys and the 100 college guys.
I'm not an engineer, but I assume that probably led to some of the decision making. But yeah, they know. Either they know, or maybe the guys are just so like well organized, because that's what happened also is like if you need privacy, you have to do it at the right time. So like we'll have a morning meeting where we're all together, then you go meet with the offense and defense, and then from there you go split into your small, and that's the meeting. When you go to your position meeting, that's the meeting because everyone's in meetings at that point. That's when you slide out the position meeting. Like, we know the coverage, we're preparation. You slide them position meeting, go to town.
A little Metamucil and a coffee and go to one of your 5 stalls.
Yeah, that's sad, man. 5 stalls is sad.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have commented on this, but I was like, some bathrooms, like work bathrooms, 2 stalls.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It never even crossed my mind. Like with the Falcons, I was there, Ravens, and the Broncos. The practice facility.
It should be like what, 1 per lineman? 1 stall, like.
Yeah, I guess that's probably a good number. There's probably 10, 12 linemen. I don't know, 50 something on the team. And yeah, I just can't imagine you could survive with 5. Like that has to be wrong.
Yeah. I don't think it is wrong.
Yeah, I know it's not. I mean, wrong.
There's been deafening silence from the Steelers.
Wrong morally. Yeah. It's wrong morally to do that. I don't know. Guys probably playing.
And from an olfactory sense, it's just very wrong. But all right, Kyler Murray.
Back to Kyler Murray. Welcome back, Charlie. You were missed. I'm sure there was very little talk while you were gone, and now you're back straight to the doo-doo.
That's exactly right. I've left my mark on my ignominious mark has been left on this podcast within 15 minutes. Is there any spot that you'd want to see Kyler play? You talk about he's not being failed necessarily. You think this might not have been the best organization for him, but it's like this.
I think honestly, I'm putting up I'm trying to mount a defense for him and a reason why you should believe in him having success elsewhere. Your point is accurate that he's, of the guys that are available, he's reached the highest ceiling more consistently than anyone that's out there. I think the Colts is an attractive location, even though it seems like they are like committed to Daniel Jones to some degree.
Yeah. I thought that was an interesting Malik Willis. I still think that's an interesting Malik Willis organization, just knowing how well Shane Steichen coached Jalen Hurts' skill set. Isn't that why? I feel like Kyler Murray is a better version of Malik Willis. So like, why? More powerful as a runner. Malik Willis is more powerful as a runner. That's it.
I guess the point is like Shane Steichen developed a very good offense centered around the quarterback's ability to run and having more simplistic, I guess, passing schemes out of it. And I think that's part of one of the criticisms of Kyler Murray is holding onto the ball too long and like flushing out of clean pockets and too quick to run. I think you would like to see him in that situation where you have an offense that has a great running back there, good offensive line, is designed to threaten you with the ground game, number one, and then create easier looks for a guy with an arm like Kyler Murray. It feels like that would be interesting.
Can I run through some for you?
Yeah.
Just give me a thumbs up. Miami?
Nah. I think Miami's in a full rebuild. I think that's another spot where Kyler Murray would have a hard time overcoming.
Jets?
Yeah, I think that's a similar situation. I like it more for the Jets than I do for Kyler Murray. If he's trying to resurrect his career, I don't like the Jets for him. But if the Jets are looking to like test out, because right now Kyler Murray will still be being paid most of his contract. Like it's a situation like we had with Russell Wilson not long ago where he got released. And so he's still getting a big number paid by his previous team. Whoever signs Kyler Murray, unless they want to extend him, can sign him for much less, league minimum.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it's the
same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. I think Pittsburgh is interesting because what we saw last year from that offense and Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray adds another dynamic that I think makes this offense a little bit more threatening, but he still doesn't have like the high end consistency that I think you would want.
Can I give you the 3 ones that people are going to talk about? Cleveland?
Yeah, it's another situation where, you bring Kyler Murray in there. I don't think that it's a
defense is really good.
The defense is really good. The offense is not as good. Aren't they the one team that has all their offensive linemen are now free agents?
Yes.
They're starting offensive line. Like that's a scary situation for Kyler Murray.
They've been hitting on a lot of draft picks. All right.
I mean, I think that's of the you've gone in like
I'm just
ranked
going
order.
I'm just going down the the ESPN divisions. I'm going down I'm looking at the teams.
Right, but I think that you ended up in like a ranked order. I think Cleveland is the name that is most interesting of the ones that you've named so far. And now you're going to get to the
Minnesota.
Yeah. Minnesota, it's a play action offense under center a lot. I think
it's been sort of reported today also that the Vikings might want to move on from JJ McCarthy. We don't know the validity of that totally, but that he's still under contract going into the 3rd year of his rookie deal. That's crazy when he's barely played football. But if that's the case, they obviously be looking for a new quarterback, whether that's the rumor potentially trading for Anthony Richardson, trying to sign this guy, signing Geno Smith, who people think could play really well in KOC's offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the question is, are you going to build a new offense that I think is designed around what Kyler Murray is comfortable with or what he would be successful with? Because I think with the weapons that they have there, Kyler Murray's explosiveness would be interesting. But I'm not sure that offense, like that feels, of the Shanahan-esque disciple offenses, this one feels a little bit more closer to what I think even the 49ers offense has moved further away from what I think the Vikings do offensively. And that is more like a distributor, a guy who's not going to hold on to the ball too long, who's not looking to necessarily extend plays. They could design something different that could work for Kyler Murray, but I'm not sure that as it is currently constructed that would be the best spot for him.
So it's like more quick game, stuff like that. The stuff they did with Dobbs, or they had more easy layup routes, Dobbs, Nick Mullins, etc.
But I mean, I feel like that defeats the purpose of having Kyler Murray. Yeah. Like I think you do the quick routes. Obviously, you have it in the offense, but you want Kyler Murray because I think he gives you an explosive option with his physicality, I think.
Escapability, layer throws. Atlanta.
I mean, I think Atlanta's attractive because there are other options
too.
Yeah. Atlanta's attractive because their other options, I think, are on their roster right now. Really, to your point, they're in deep. That's interesting. The talent, it's all the same to me. Honestly, it's like this offense, this Atlanta offense, I think.
They're not all the same. If this Atlanta offense had like a real quarterback, we'd be like, they could win the NFC.
No, I guess what I'm saying is that offense and the Vikings offense, I think, are similar in that Kyler Murray's unique, man. Yeah. And I think the reason why I said Shane Steichen first is because I think that is a closer to like a plug and play, even with what Daniel Jones is doing with that offense. Like, I think it'd be great. Of course, all those weapons, Kyler Murray, like it's the same. What I mean by it's the same is, I could see it being awesome. I could also see it not working out so well.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that honestly, none of them might work out. We might be talking about this breathlessly in the offseason, and it might just legitimately be moving around like pawns on the chessboard, not queens, like we're thinking, whether it's a Cousins or a Geno or a Kyler or Richardson or even, even Malik Willis. So I'm like really intrigued by it because it's in certain ways, when we talk about the Steichen stuff, like to me, it's like he is running, deep passing, not turning the ball over. Right. It's like that is how the Eagles built that offense with Steichen, and I don't know.
I love the Malik Willis, like the projection of Malik Willis in the story, and his ascension has been awesome and incredible. But I think I'm also a little bit trepidatious because we haven't seen that much good Malik Willis. We've seen 2 years of good Malik Willis.
3 games.
Yeah, we've seen 2 years of good Malik Willis, but it's been 3 games across those 2 years of good Malik Willis. So, like, I don't want to be the rain on the parade guy, and it's also against teams that don't get pressure. Like, I hate to be the rain on the parade guy, especially considering how his career started, where we were like, hey, he might be a first-round pick. He slides all the way to the bottom draft, and then it seems like he's not an NFL player before he moves on to a new location. So the distance he's traveled has been incredible, but I don't want to go ahead and say that I think that he's a lock. Like, he's going to get a shot somewhere, which he deserves, but I'll be interested to see.
Would you be more surprised if he was just straight up bad outside of LaFleur's system, or was like, I mean, I don't know what the ceiling is. He's so talented, or if he was like a true franchise guy, a la the way that Geno Smith turned around his career. I'm not saying saying the top 4 type of stuff.
I would say that nothing would surprise me, but the way that you phrased the question, I'd be more surprised if he's like a straight up top elite franchise quarterback, because those things are so hard to find. I think he showed us straight up top elite play in a small number of games, which means that it could continue. And I think also, like, the way that he played in those games was not like system quarterbacky. You know what I mean? Like, he did the system stuff, but he also made incredible.
The first couple games were last year when
where it was all run focused.
They weren't letting him throw the ball.
Yeah, it was run focused stuff. This year it was not. It was deep ball accuracy in that Ravens game. It was deep ball accuracy in that Bears game. Those were the plays that it seems like the more we talk about young quarterbacks who have success, is their ability to be accurate deep down the field. He showed that he could do that. That gives me some encouragement, but it's just not enough, man. Yeah. It's just not enough to feel fully confident in him.
All right, should we talk combine stuff?
Yeah.
I feel like, first of all, I got to give kudos to
we're giving out kudos
to Roger Goodell.
Oh gosh,
putting the combine in prime time, so I could be laying on my phone in St. Bart's watching Sonny Styles jump 44 and a half.
Oh god,
was just amazing. It's chef's kiss, and it was like, okay, we got Nuggets, Thunder, nah dog, it's combine season.
It's insane. It is insane.
It was such a flex. You know he was doing that to with Silver. You know he was doing that to with Silver.
I honestly think that the comment that he made, I guess it was 2 or 3 years ago at this point, when people were talking about competing with other leagues, he was like, nah, we compete with Apple, dog. Yeah, I think that's what he believes. I don't think he thinks at all about the NBA.
You think he literally Mad Men memes him? He's like, I feel bad for you. I don't think about you at all.
Of course. I don't. You think that for 1 second, Roger Goodell in the NFL is like, hey, but we don't want to match up with the NBA. I don't think they think about that at all.
Like, it was just, what did you see more on your timeline? Lou Dort trying to end Jokic's season, or combine footage? Because it's happening like concurrently.
I actually think that I got a little bit more Dortcher. Okay. That was pretty funny.
You think people are calling him Lou Dirt?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a dirty player.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was definitely a bad play. I don't know if I've just gotten it was like a fake Photoshop, but someone said that they removed one of the Lou Dort dirty plays when he did the testicular grab last year because it violated the sexual conduct policy on YouTube.
That's ridiculous. I think you probably fell for it.
I probably did. Fell for it. I did zero follow-up research.
At least you didn't retweet it or comment on it or anything like that.
I did love that. My favorite part about was Cuzzy, was Jared McCain. His part of the fight between the Nuggets and the Thunder was the best.
Yeah, I mean, we had a spicy basketball weekend. Did you see Durant and Hero getting a little beefy, and then they hugged at the end of the game. It was fun.
Yeah.
Combine.
Yeah, we'll see what get.
So you never even got to. So the idea that they put it in prime time, of course, is a hell of a move. So and it's on NFL Network, right?
Yeah.
So eventually they're trying to position that so they can sell it to somebody else. Mm-hmm. That is another massive move by the NFL. I assume the numbers are good.
Definitely. I mean, so there was actually like a ton of interesting stuff that came out of this combine. This was
not a huge number of like big name players.
This is not a marquee draft of wide receivers, quarterbacks. I mean, there are edge rushers at the top, but not guys that we saw pop in. I mean, I shouldn't say that because Rueben Bain was one of the best players in the college football playoffs.
But I think it's not a collection of them.
Well, and it's also not like Clowney was like a thing coming out of college. Yeah. So was Myles Garrett. So it's like they're just like, these are very good prospects, but they are not as ballyhooed or heralded as some of the edges.
We ballyhooing them now.
But I want to go through some of the things that jumped off the screen from when I was watching in primetime on vacation.
That's so sad.
It was awesome.
You're on the island in St. Bart's with your fiance, laying in bed.
It wasn't even that. One of them was at dinner.
You're at dinner. And it's just her and you?
Yeah.
Dinner?
Yeah.
Just you, her, and Rueben Bain at dinner.
That's exactly. I was like, this dude has sub 31 inch arms. I was like, but you should see him jump off the screen. He's so powerful, hon.
Oh God, we missed this. I mean, if your haters are sad, right, were sad at the start of the show, they're happy now because this is an improvement. The outrageous idea that you are on.
You told me to stop texting you once from dinner.
I did.
I thought you texted me first.
I did text you, but I did expect to have a full-on conversation, and you're like, "I'm at dinner." It's like with your fiance.
It was like kind of like it's kind of like a little shishi dinner too, where there's like DJ playing and stuff.
And you're texting me about, I don't even remember what we were talking about, Mesidor, like we were talking about we just texted about cornerbacks, how this draft don't have as many shutdown corners as I would like. And you're sitting there. So what does Carrie do?
It was between like the hamachi crudo and
so is Carrie like scrolling Instagram when she just looking at you?
No. So I've done
opinions?
like, there was like if she walks to the bathroom, I fire off some text, and then as she comes back, she starts talking to me, and she's like, "Put your phone away," and then I listen to it.
That's right. All right, cool.
Yeah, no, I'm not like sitting there like ignoring her.
I thought you were trying to have a conversation. Like, yeah, babe, that was nice.
No.
You want to snorkel later?
Yeah.
Rueben Bain's arm.
Anyway, speaking of Rueben Bain, I will say, throughout the year, I mean, he's ranged anywhere from, at one point in the year, maybe the top pick in the draft when people didn't like any of the quarterbacks before Mendoza ascended and Ty Simpson fell and Nussmeier fell off the board, even though he said it's an ab injury at Drew Aller, et cetera, et cetera. He was a potential number one overall pick. It seems like he might now be the third edge rusher taken after Arvell Reese and David Bailey. And he was the best pass rusher in the college football playoff. He was awesome in every single game. He's freakishly powerful, 6'2", 270-pound edge from Miami with sub 31-inch arms. There hasn't really ever been an edge rusher with those characteristics. There's a lot to talk about with this guy, but the first thing I would say is, does it matter as much for defensive ends as it does? Like we saw the Will Campbell thing, which became a huge story in the postseason, be about arm length, and that's sort of hanging over all this. Like you're going to take a guy with negative outlier physical characteristics at the top, but it's slightly different on defense and offense. How much of this do you think affects the way that you view him as a prospect?
It does not change the way I view him as a prospect. I think those measurables matter. Honestly, they matter a lot when it comes to like evaluating the decision makers. If there's an obvious red flag, then you are seen as a genius if it works out in spite of the red flag, or you're seen as like a fool if it fails. Whether it's because of that's the thing that I think is interesting, is it's whether it's because of the red flag or not. I think we ultimately come back and say you never should have drafted that person no matter what. So that's what it comes down to. It's a risk thing. And so for that position, obviously we do a bunch of testing for all the players, do all the testing. And there's certain tests that matter more to other players, to some positions than others. I do think arm length matters for a pass rusher, in part because so many of your moves are determined by your arm length. And he's a big speed rusher guy who loves to chop, and with his shorter arms it doesn't matter as much, but he's not going to be able to long arm anybody, which matters to some degree. And I think it just changes the moves that you can do. He's an explosive athlete,
super powerful,
which is very
really powerful.
He's which I was surprised at how, and I guess because the tackles are so much bigger, I was surprised at watching his tape how much more speed rush he did than he did like power, just straight through bull rush.
People talking about him using like hump moves like Reggie White. Like
I guess I would have assumed that, but I think that probably is an arm length thing. Like I would guess it's easier to create leverage with the arm length for the hump move, where you go upfield, sell speed upfield, and then throw the guy by. I imagine that matters. So it just shrinks your toolbox. But if you are so good, that's the thing for pass rushers. And I think Von Miller made this point. All the moves that we like and we fawn over, they don't matter nearly as much.
That was Von Miller.
It was Von Miller.
He only had like 3 sacks in his career from the ghost move.
Yeah.
And he said the moves are overrated. You need to have a couple of them, like a move and a counter, and that's pretty much it. He's like, the guys who have like 7 or 8 moves are amazing and special, but you can get by with a couple.
I mean, it seems like for Bain, his on the edge is like the chop and the bull rush and just like a speed and dip, which is enough to survive.
It's interesting because like this is, Todd McShay's talked about this. A good edge rusher is always going to be a better athlete than the tackle blocking. I mean, I'm sure there are exceptions.
Right.
Prime Tyron Smith, prime Trent Williams.
But generally,
whatever. The point of it is that So in certain ways, like the arm length matters for tackles more because it's a way to neutralize the fact that they're less athletic than the guys, and edges, because of their explosiveness, can get away with it slightly more if they have like him. He's on the field for every single play. He can play the run and the pass. He's super effective in a lot of ways. What I think is interesting is, why can't he move inside? Why can't he put on 20 pounds and move inside, or even play like as a lighter? Like Kalijah Kancey has shorter arms than him and has been a successful NFL player.
Milton Williams got short arms.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah.
Ed Oliver has 31-inch arms. He's longer arms than him. But it's someone who has explosive athleticism to, overcome it. And you're going against guards. You're playing a 3-tech. You're playing a 5-tech. And, so many of these teams are playing that type of defense now with a 4-3 and playing out a nickel. Like, why can't he just be inside? And
so, I think that's a possibility. I think saying just put on 20 pounds is easier said than done for certain guys. So I wouldn't assume that that's possible. But before we get to moving him inside, it's a possibility. I think we have to appreciate.
Or play inside and outside.
Right.
Like if it's not effective there.
But I just wanted to touch on one more thing. We talked about the arm length as how it impacts pass rush a lot and not how it matters for run defense. And I think, honestly, it might actually be more important for run defense to be able to create extension and get this guy off your body and hold him in place. I think, honestly, if your arms are too short to do that, because you can use your quickness and speed some, but not as much as you want. Because once you try to go around a blocker in the run game, you've created a hole. And so often on defense, if they're running at you, you need to set a hard edge. And if your arms are here and his arms get further out than yours, it's hard to set that edge. I'd be more concerned about an end's arm length, about the run, than it is pass rushing, honestly. To your point about moving inside, yeah, it's perfect. If you can put on the weight, I didn't see a ton of him rushing against, because they didn't move him inside in Miami. I saw a couple stunts where he ended up against a guard and he was killing the guards.
Yeah.
Because, he has a different level of athleticism and power, I think, or not power, explosiveness.
Well, he's got leverage.
Right.
He's got like speed to power for sure.
And that quick twitch explosiveness, I think, is really hard for any offensive lineman to deal with. It gets harder as you move inside. Of course, the prototype for the undersized defensive tackle is Aaron Donald. No one can.
But he has crazy long arms.
Yeah, that was what I was getting to. He's the prototype, and everyone imagines, but he has uniquely long arms for someone there. So it
is. Yeah, he has almost 33-inch arms at 6'1".
Yeah, there's and Rueben Bain's at 30, right? Or 31?
30 and 5/8, I think.
Yeah.
Or 7/8, yeah.
Almost 31 inches. And that's a tough spot to be in. So these things hang around, these measurements hang around because they matter somewhat, but it's not the end all be all.
I do love that the people who have had some bad measurements or bad times, that gets leaked via Schefter, that the time might not be at. Some teams said that his arms were 32 inches, or the Carnell Tate 40 times. Some teams measured him or timed him at 4.47. It's so funny. It's just funny how the information works. That's the whole point of the combine, is that it's a standardized measurement and testing stuff. It's also, I feel like some of this also got picked up steam because Arvell Reese and David Bailey were freakish. Arvell Reese ran a 4.47 and David Bailey ran a 4.51.
So Reese is the off-ball /
hybrid rusher.
Hybrid from Ohio State, and Bailey's the stand-up defensive end outside linebacker from Texas Tech, who has 34-inch arms, or nearly 34-inch arms,
and 10 and a quarter inch hands. He's 6'3", 250.
It's just closer to the prototype. You would get
physically very close to the way that Micah Parsons tested,
and you would get less blowback if you got that wrong, because everyone would look at him and say, "How are you not dominating with all the skills that you showed and ability that you have?" So I think with them being so close, I could understand why you go with David Bailey. I think over the course of the year, I watched a lot more Miami tape and was really impressed with.
You were impressed by Reese too, though. You texted me mid-season being like, "Oh, this guy's a freak."
Yeah, there's so many guys. And speaking of freaks, I guess this is to your point about how
this combine is about freaks. I wonder when they resettle the RAS scores, relative athletic scores, where we've seen people from that's actually held up over a 30-year period, and that was part of the reason why Eamon Wari, who was right at the top of that, people were really excited about. But you look at defensive ends with RAS scores, Peppers and Myles Garrett and Clowney before microfracture, at the top, and then et cetera. It's actually held up. And we're seeing a bunch of guys from this combine who are going to come out of it and like be at the top of those scores and like sort of break the scale.
It's so shocking because I guess it's just a reminder that these measurements only matter so much. Mm-hmm. There's so much stuff that's happening at a split second in your brain and instincts that I think you can't really measure out on the combine turf. But still, there's some things that you're not going to be able to do in the NFL if you don't have some of this raw explosiveness and power. And it just feels like the ceiling with these guys, whether it is higher or not, it feels like it gets higher when those numbers come out.
Yeah, it seems like both Bailey and Reese look primed to be top 5 picks.
Yeah.
And is there a spot where, I mean, I guess if Rueben Bain fell, it would be to the back half of the top 10 or 12 or wherever. If that happened, like with the, would you just be like, all right, I know this guy's awesome, I need to pick him? Like what's the fall for someone like this where he's a negative outlier with arm length?
Yeah, I don't think he falls out of, I guess I need to look at the list to see who is there available, but that's one of those positions where no matter how many you have, you don't have enough.
Yeah.
So like if he falls,
I just have this prediction, this feeling that he's going to somehow be with Baltimore at 14, and it's like they did it again.
Yeah.
They need a pass rusher, of course.
Oh man, well they've been needing him one for a while, and they've tried last year. It didn't quite turn out to be the one that they had hoped for. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be surprised to see him get past the Bengals. I guess it'd be back-to-back edge rushers for the Bengals, and it'd be back-to-back guys where
opposite thing.
Yeah, where it's a guy that had all the measurables but less of the production that didn't quite work out the way they wanted to this year. A guy with all the production and a question in one of the areas that are measurable. And if he gets past them to Miami or Dallas, also needs D-line. Yeah, I find it hard to imagine that he gets 10, 11, 12. So it's Cincinnati, Miami, Dallas, Atlanta. They need or I guess no, it'll be the Rams at that spot because of the trade. They don't need another one, but they would take them, I'm sure.
By the way, future episode, we're going to need to talk about this stretch of the draft from 9 to 14. And for our listeners, that's 9 is the Chiefs, 10 is the Bengals, 11 we'll probably skip over in this episode. It's the Dolphins. 12 is the Cowboys. 13 is the Rams. 14 is the Ravens. I bet you if you look back at the odds to make the Super Bowl before last season, 4 of those 5 teams were probably in the top 10 teams in odds. And now they're all picking in the front half of the first round. And it could be like they might leave the draft and free agency being like, we're going to contend this year, which is really unique for that top half of the draft. Anyway, I do want to ask you also about, outside of just the edge rushers, the less heralded positions, but have become more and more important of off-ball linebacker and this versatile safety, big nickel position with Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs. Because Sonny Styles broke the combine. He had the craziest vertical. He ran sub 4.5. Yeah. Kyle Hamilton tweeted that he frame mugged him at 6'5", 240 plus pounds. He's compared to Kyle Hamilton, Fred Warner, Nicky Manwari. He had been a true like off-ball linebacker at Ohio State, which I know you've thought has been like a really undervalued position in the league. But how high do you think you can go in the draft? And what do you like? How valuable do you view what he is now with the way defense is being played in the NFL? Not only is he a true off-ball linebacker, prior to that, he was a true safety at Ohio State, and they moved him to linebacker. The thing, like, I'd group the Sonny Styles combine performance, put it aside. That was awesome. That was incredible. He put up stupid numbers everywhere, across every bit of athleticism. Everything that they measured, Sonny Styles crushed it. That's one thing. But I think for the purpose of this conversation about how high he could go, I think it's a broader conversation, honestly, about the direction that the sport is going. Which I think includes Caleb Downs as well. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not only Caleb Downs. I think it also includes Sadiq, the tight end, who's like... well, let's stick to the defense first. We'll get to Sadiq in the second. But I think it all matters. Yeah. I mean, we can get to Sadiq and all that later on, but I think it all matters because
it's about positional value, right? And we have devalued some of these positions, including off-ball linebacker, a lot because this game moved away from like the hard-nosed, you need a big Ray Lewis type who can fill all the holes and be 260 to like we want guys in off-ball linebacker that can cover, can run with the spread and be comfortable in coverage against linebackers, and tight ends become more important in the passing game, be comfortable in those situations. We've moved more and more in that direction, but I think the thinking about that position has become, hasn't kept up. Like the value of that position hasn't kept up. If you look back at the season, one of the stories of the last couple seasons is how important 12 personnel has been. And it's not because 12 personnel is like crazy new, which is one back, two tight ends, two receivers. It's because these offenses were using 12 personnel to create matchup issues. As we move to a more pass-centric league and a more faster, more spread out league and less like downhill ISO plays, we got in a situation where they were putting an extra tight end out there and teams would keep nickel on the field in order to be ready for the pass. Then they would have a run advantage. And the way that you answer that was, all right, we'll put base on the field. Okay, well, our tight ends are more athletic and we can throw versus that, which is why we've seen guys like Kyle Hamilton, I think, is a good. Fred Warner is another good example, which this is not the same position. It's about having someone who allows you not to let the offense dictate your personnel. And
Nicky Minori last year for the Seahawks. This was the big example of it. What they played him as a giant nickel. He could play close to the line of scrimmage. He was 6'3", 225, around 4.35 at the combine.
It feels kind of like a new position to me, in that we started to get to a place where nickel was more ubiquitous. It's like you play nickel.
It is base now.
Nickel is the new base. And then when nickel became the new base, teams answered that by going 12 personnel, which puts you in advantage. So that means we need a big nickel. We need somebody who is comfortable playing linebacker and also comfortable playing safety. And I think a certain level of off-ball athleticism for the linebacker or a certain level of physicality from a safety that you can put in that spot allows you to, when you see 12 personnel, not be in this trick bag where you're wrong either way. If I put out base, you're going to throw it. If I put out nickel, you're going to run it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part that to me makes drafting a player like Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs, who
very, very different physical profiles.
Yeah.
By the way. Sonny Styles, 6'5", 240 plus, and could play middle.
But I know you're right, and they're different profiles, and the same thing is true for Nicky Minori and
Fred Warner. Yeah, totally.
Very different physical profiles, but they allow you as a defense to do the same thing. Is to look at that personnel and say, so what? We got a guy that is so comfortable in all these situations. And the thing about it for the safeties is what makes Caleb Downs attractive is Caleb Downs is a smaller safety who I think the thing that he does best is play run defense in the box. And
you watch some of his tape from Alabama to all the way through Ohio State, where at a point in the playoff too, talk about another guy who jumped off the screen in the college football playoff, was unbelievable in Ohio State's playoff game.
Yeah. Caleb Downs is awesome.
Yeah.
And you hear so much about him. And I think I was a little surprised when I went to his tape that he didn't jump off the tape as much as I expected him to. But it's because I think I was looking at him for like traditional safety things. And I think what he does that's really special, aside from all the conversation about how he's so smart, he'll keep your defense set up, he protects everybody, you'll have fewer missed assignments. He's also a leader, like the intangible stuff, like they speak highly of like how he's motivated and
he's a captain immediately.
Yeah, and he sets the tone and the culture of the team. He immediately was a captain on the defense for
I think it was Alabama and Ohio State.
Alabama
He's a freshman and then Ohio State. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong about Alabama. But.
So that stuff doesn't always easily show up on tape. I think what showed up on tape that was the most unique for him is his ability to rush the passer and get rid of like running backs that are trying to block him and that sort of stuff. But more than anything was he was so comfortable and so fast in how he addressed the run game. And that is where you would attack a player like that. If we put a 200-pound guy in the box, you're going to run at him. But if he's better at stopping the run than most linebackers, and it's funny because the opposite is true, or is what makes Sonny Styles attractive, is that he has the type of speed and athleticism that you're completely comfortable with him anywhere on the field with a history of playing safety.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be able to run with anyone. Yeah. Like all of the explosiveness traits should show that his hips can turn and play in coverage. And like, I mean, Fred Warner had the quote before the Super Bowl when he was interviewed by Mina, where he's like, I don't think you need to spy against Drake May. And it was like, because on the 49ers, they have you. You can do these things. You can run with tight ends. You can run with slot receivers.
And that's another good point about like Sonny is like, in this era where we have a lot of athletic quarterbacks who on important third downs are going to run to convert it, like having somebody like that will make you feel a little bit more comfortable about that. But of course, we can look back at like Isaiah Simmons is the one that I'm sure came to your mind because it came to my mind as someone who was supposed to be this super freak athlete, perfect hybrid, and has found a place, I think, on special teams now, but he didn't turn out to be the player that we all anticipated he would be. I was so excited about him coming into it.
So was I.
Yeah.
One piece of cleanup. Caleb Downs, not a captain at Alabama as a freshman. He was a captain as a transfer immediately to Ohio State. So I got the conflated in the story because there's like the Paul Bunyan like legends about once he arrived at Ohio State.
Well, the story about him arriving at Alabama was that he was the veteran corners were looking to him as a freshman to set the defenses and respond to checks, which like is I think a little bit unusual, and it's a trait of leadership. I think that certainly bodes well for him and whatever team he ends up on.
Yeah. So, okay, now let's go to the offense side of this is, again, we're seeing positions that have been traditionally underdrafted sort of pop at the combine. I know some of the receivers have had eye-popping times. Yeah. But it's Kenyon Sadiq and Jeremiyah Love have been the two people, running backs that we've had, honestly, whiplash with how the lesson has been learned and unlearned about what to draft these guys. Now it's situationally dependent. If you're the Lions, you draft Jahmyr Gibbs, it makes sense. But then the Genty stuff was really tough from where they were from an organizational perspective last year. Well, you have Jeremiyah Love running sub 4.4, running the same speed as Jahmyr Gibbs, carrying an extra 20 pounds. You have Kenyon Sadiq running sub 4.4 as a tight end at 6'3", 240 pounds plus, and like his tape looking ridiculous. Him obviously looking the part, and from the last few years, the tight end development curve has changed considerably from when we were like, post Kyle Pitts, like, and I know he rebroke out last year with people being like, it doesn't make sense because the franchise tag drafting guys this high, what you pay them on the rookie deal is not actually a bargain. Well, now in the last couple of years, we've had Brock Bowers, who established himself as, if not the best tight end, the second best tight end in the NFL after Trey McBride. And you had last year Colson Loveland and Tyler Warren, who we've talked about this a little bit on the show of like, you get a guy like that, it's a new version of what an X can be as a downfield threat, as a run after the catch guy, as a real number one receiver. And those guys have been elite pass catchers immediately as rookies and second year players in him and Brock Bowers. And this is interesting because this team sitting there at 9 that's been initially linked, or maybe it's just fan fiction, to both those guys and the Chiefs. What do you think when you hear about that type of fit and how that makes sense?
No, I mean, this is why I was thinking about it as it connects to the other conversation that we were having. It's about versatility. And I think the reason why I understand why we talk about positional value is because I think it protects you from making big mistakes, and you always want to optimize as far as the salary is concerned based on position. However, you could look at it differently. I remember when we were talking about the trade for Christian McCaffrey, and should the 49ers trade for him? Should they extend him? I think this is obviously a high-end situation, but my point is what you're really looking for is not an X. You're looking for a playmaker that requires the defense to adjust to him. He's so special and so important that it requires you to adjust. Optimally, it's a wide receiver. Guy far away from the ball, it really distorts your defense in order to adjust to guard against this guy. Of course, it gets more difficult when you go inside, but a smart coach, if you have someone who is special at those positions and unique in those positions, you can build an offense that's around forcing the defense to adjust to protect that guy. So yes, maybe, or just to defend that guy. So yes, maybe generally you should not draft a running back this high. If you have a running back who is so special, and of course running back might be a little bit tougher because the offensive line matters so much, but a running back who is versatile enough to put in a slot, to run routes, who's versatile enough to put him outside, to put him in the backfield, someone who keeps you in a situation where it creates, again, this dilemma for the defense. It's like when this guy is in there, they're just as prone, they're just as good at doing everything as they are doing one thing, and that puts us in a trick bag on defense. The tight end is probably a little easier, I would think, because if you have someone who's Gronk is probably a prototype, who's such a great receiver and a great blocker that it doesn't matter. You can put your best run stuffing linebacker out there, and Gronk is gonna probably go to stalemate, or you put your best cover safety out there, and Gronk is gonna eat him alive.
He's one of the best pass catchers in NFL history. It's totally unique.
But that's the point. If you have a guy, you should think less about, is this the right position, and more about, is this guy special enough for me?
Well, what do you think about these guys? Because this is some of the Kenyon Sadiq stuff. He ran a faster 40 than Odell Beckham. He had a better 10-yard split than Deshaun Jackson, a higher vertical jump than Julio Jones, and a better broad jump than Andre Johnson. And so these are not like cherry picked.
No.
Like Julio Jones jumped 38.5 and he jumped 43.5. Like Odell ran a 4.4.
Yeah.
He ran sub 4.4. Like these, Andre Johnson jumped 11. He jumped 11. Like these are serious. Like it's not like we didn't pick someone who had like a weird outlier trait that he was beating. Yeah. So this is something, we saw. We're likely going to see some sort of rebuild with the Chiefs as Mahomes is coming off this injury. And we've seen him work with a special tight end in the past, and Travis Kelce, who I guess he'll be back this year. It's not so you can't play two of them at the same time, but what do you think of that type of shot from them at 9? And how many holes do you think that team theoretically has to fill, or is it something where they should take someone like this, an X factor?
I mean, I feel like I've heard Jeremiyah Love to them more than I've heard the Kenyon Sadiq. I think the Sadiq challenge is the model that I created in my mind was more of the Gronk thing. That's an incredible blocker. Like Sadiq's not an embarrassment as a blocker, but I don't think that you create the same dilemma. I think you're still worried about how do you guard Sadiq, less about how do you stop the run against Sadiq. The Jeremiyah Love thing I think is interesting because the explosive play ability that he adds without putting pressure on the quarterback.
And Brett Veach, their general manager, said they wanted to get more explosive in the run game.
I mean, and everybody always wants to get more explosive.
Yeah.
Particularly in the run game, it helps you quite a bit. I think for Mahomes being injured and coming off the injury, but even if he's not injured, I think that is more interesting, honestly, to me than the Sadiq addition, because Jeremiyah Love, I think that ability to be explosive. Sadiq is still, you're still in a situation where you're reliant on the quarterback. I think in a perfect world, if both of those guys would work out, the Chiefs would be tougher to deal with.
Really?
With a top of the league running back than I think with a top of the league tight end.
That's really interesting because the Chiefs have had such success with run after the catch guys. I mean, even post Tyreek, whether it's Kelce with the cat and mouse games he played with Mahomes, or Rashee Rice getting open, and that being how they operate rather than the downfield stuff. And obviously Sadiq's front sub 4.4, they can get him down the field, but you know what I mean. In the traditional
if you look at the best case scenario for both of these, I'm thinking. If Jeremiyah Love is someone that they can throw a screen to or hand the ball to, if he turns into Jahmyr Gibbs, I guess that's what I'm thinking. If he turns into Jahmyr Gibbs, I like that offense more than a resurrection of Kelce, which I guess Sadiq wouldn't even be that. He'd be more like Vernon Davis reincarnate or something like that. That would be a closer comp. I like it with Gibbs, I think, more than anybody else at that spot.
Yeah. Do you think Roger Goodell's juicing the times of the combine? I've been holding off on this the entire time. We just came out this year and it's everyone is the most freakish athlete of all time. I shouldn't say Roger. Do you think the NFL is it was no marquee quarterback this year? Let's just speed the turf up a little bit, start the stopwatch a tiny bit sooner.
It could just be. I mean, we were talking before the show about how there are just so many great freshmen in college basketball right now. Can't this just be
cluster theory of freak athletes?
It just happened to be. I don't know. I feel like they'd be less likely to do that because they don't need to. You were going to watch it anyway.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I don't think the NFL is in a situation where they need to juice the balls for you to tune in if they're putting it in prime time.
But it just happened to be that the first time they're in prime time, suddenly those 39-inch verticals were 44s.
I mean, possibly. I just find it. Why would they do it? Did you? I don't think they would. That's ridiculous. I mean, you would do it. They wouldn't. Roger, you think that they were worried that they was going to lose to some basketball games?
No, I think they were just they understand how to make a great product.
Yeah, they are not concerned about prime time. Ain't what it used to be. I think they don't have competition in prime time. It's not like they're going up against Family Matters in the 90s. Before the show, we learned that Charlie doesn't know who's in Family Matters. He's never heard of Good Times. The man had never heard of Step by Step. I even crossed over. Once we hit 2 black shows and he was confused, I was like, all right, let's take it a Step by Step. You ever heard of Step by Step?
I have no idea what Step by Step is. I've never
You don't remember Cody in the van? He lived in the van outside the house.
I will Google this as we speak, and if I recognize people in the show, I will let you know.
No, Step by Step didn't have a lot of famous people, I guess, with the exception of Cody. Like, wait till you see who Cody is, and you're gonna be like, "Damn, I didn't know about Step."
I have never seen a single one of these human beings.
I think I think I might have confused Cody with Keanu Reeves. Yeah, that's not the same person. He just looks like him.
There's no Keanu Reeves in this.
Yeah, that was the guy who looked like Keanu Reeves.
I was embarrassed
Perfect
because
Strangers?
you said, "Have you ever heard of Family Matters?" And I asked if that was the show that Bill Cosby was in. And I'm Googling it now, and I have seen Steve Urkel.
Also, the show that Bill Cosby was in was called The Cosby Show.
That makes sense.
Even though in the show, the family's name was Huxtable. And he had, I believe he was a gynecologist out of his own basement. All right,
Was he actually?
Yeah, he was actually.
He was actually
a home doctor.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, he was
I can't laugh at that.
Yeah, I don't even know if we can air that, but that's true. Google it, you'll find.
I've seen the dad in Family Matters too. So I've seen the dad in Urkel.
He was in was Die Hard. He was a police officer in Die Hard. Like, I think people believe
Never seen Die Hard.
People believe that that Family Matters was like a spinoff of Die Hard.
Really?
Like a Chicago police officer in Die Hard, and then he was a Chicago police officer in Family Matters. And then Perfect Strangers was a spinoff of Family Matters. You ever heard of Belky? You know Belky?
No.
You don't know Perfect Strangers? Yeah.
No, I've never seen any of these human beings.
I think Perfect Strangers. Oh, no, maybe Family Matters is a spinoff of Perfect Strangers. But I know that the wife in Family Matters like worked with Balky and them in Perfect Strangers.
I'm trying to think of like what I watched as like a.
Did you watch anything as a kid, or are you post like primetime television?
I mean, I watched like definitely a lot of the Nickelodeon shows.
Oh God.
And then I was just dumped into Seinfeld probably by age 9.
But Seinfeld was already old by then. It wasn't like
yeah. But that was
it still they were still putting out new episodes.
No. I remember that I like. No, they definitely were not. But it was on. It would be like Friends, then Seinfeld, and I would skip Friends and start watching Seinfeld. It was on at like 5 p.m. on Fox 5 before like we ate dinner for The Simpsons. It was on right for The Simpsons. It was Seinfeld and The Simpsons back to back.
So
yeah.
All right. So
you're aware of Friends, big Simpsons guy. Yeah.
So you're aware of Living Single? Probably not. Which was
no clue what that is.
Yeah, it was Black Friends, but I mean, I guess Friends was white Living Single. But it was like a bunch of like 20-somethings who lived in
Queen Latifah was in that show?
Yeah, she was a star. She like ran a magazine. You know what a magazine is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she used to wear that key on the show that she wore around her neck all the time from, I think, her brother's motorcycle accident. Married with Children. You ever seen that?
Never heard of it. I'm not like it's not even that I haven't seen them.
You never heard of Married with Children?
No, and I have to
don't
Google
know
them.
If I said Polk High, 5 touchdowns.
No. Oh, no. I've seen the dad.
Yeah, because he was in Modern Family. That's the only reason why you know who Ed O'Neill is, right?
I was going to call him Al Bundy. Is that Al Bundy?
Name. No, that's his name of the show. Okay. Good for you. Yeah, his name is Al Bundy. I'm proud of you. Should we keep this quiz going or end on a happy note?
I almost called him Ted Bundy. The thing is, like, I was going to, like, I would be honest, like, if I saw them before, obviously I've seen Queen Latifah.
Yeah, but you didn't.
I didn't know she
you're a big Set It Off guy, right? That's where you saw Queen Latifah and you fell in love with her acting ability. Or you're UNITY?
I think it's Chicago. The music.
I don't know. I want to stop. I want to end the show, but I feel like it could keep getting better. Different World?
Boy Meets World?
Topanga. Topanga's classic, man.
Yeah.
Topanga crossover. She was great. Golden Girls.
I've heard of Golden Girls. I know there's like Blanche. I've never seen an episode
Blanche
of
Devereaux. You're a nasty boy.
I've never seen an episode of Golden Girls.
Charlie's a freak. He liked Blanche. I think Blanche was the one that was like had all the boyfriends all the time. Mm-hmm. Blanche was for the streets.
I mean, she can get a dose.
All right, now it's definitely time to end it. All right, this has been an awesome return of Charlie Kravitz to the Domonique Foxworth Show. Thank you so much, Charlie. Thanks to all the great producers. Paulville, I love you. We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.